Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and on and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Trenchfoot, obviously. And you may be wondering, Notepad, it's like 11 o'clock, why are you streaming? The answer is, because I fell asleep and I feel like it. So, yeah. So, generally speaking, we're actually pretty far in. I did a little bit of work yesterday, fixing things up. What I also did was today, I worked with one of my friends, and we managed to piece together some little things about building trenches. Generally speaking, everything works pretty much the way I thought it was going to. Pretty much worked. Everything worked correctly. The big thing that I changed was, where was it? Cannot be within 2 inches of the enemy trench, because what I noticed that people were building on the line. So you would be like this weird situation where you'd get cucked out of a situation. Trenches cannot be dug on inside or body of the lake. Obviously, that's good. And generally speaking, everything here, it was just a lot of little changes and a lot of little wording changes, but that's pretty much it. Nothing too extreme in that regard. Let's see. Yeah, everything else changes here. Everything else here went relatively okay. We actually played, we did not play on this map. Did we play on this map? No, we did not play on this particular map. We played on this map. This is not how the setup went. This is just a sample deployment. However, what happened was I ended up getting stuck along the line here up top, and he built more like right down here into the city. One of the big rules I did add was this. If the attacker finishes first, the defender must finish their trench building next. So it's kind of along the idea that if the attacker says, I'm done building my trenches, the defender has to finish building. And so it's kind of a back and forth. Like, the defender's always going to have more trenches than you as an attacker. The issue is you can say you're not going to build any more trenches. So as the attacker, you have the advantage to say when the building phase is done. When this initial phase ends, you have that option. You have a good deal of power in that regard. You're never going to be the absolute strongest. However, you can really catch people out of position if you're making like a good call of like, oh, they're putting all their stuff over here, or they want to build a line over here to make sure that I don't break it, pretty much, because they probably have their objective here. And if you want to make that call, and you might kind of cuck yourself, but maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you're okay with this. Generally speaking, I know I'm gonna have to make some notes, because even here, what happened was that he built a massive line like right here. Like an 8-inch line with 8 fucking units in it that would be impossible to break normally. So it's like, okay. So yeah, did a little bit of writing down here, just like, this is what the game plan is, like what both sides are kind of thinking. Yeah. Deployment of reserves, private information. I think I will end up using, just by default, using the dice information system. I think that'll be probably the smartest idea, generally speaking. And it'll probably be the smartest idea simply because it's tactile, it's immediate, and you can also kind of hide some information a little bit better. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is regarding things like tanks later on. Because I would need to keep this 6 exactly, but what I plan on doing is individual factions are going to have individual special like brigade units that are changed. So as say if you want to play say Germany or something, you want to play Germany, your stormtroopers are going to cost you a little bit less. There's going to be cheaper to field more stormtroopers. However, if you're playing the French, your conscripts are going to be better. If you're playing the English, your infantry is going to have a little bit more health. And so on and so on. That being kind of the main idea. Like, you, the player, can understand, like, this is what the French are supposed to be like. However, this is also the disadvantages and the advantages that they actually have. Tanks might actually end up being similar to artillery pieces, with the idea being that they're not necessarily this power, like they aren't like this here for the sake of being there, that they are more of like a unit you have to move around. You can always tell where a tank is. The unfortunate part is you can always tell where a tank is. So that's a little bit of information there. I don't know how I want to do that yet, and I don't want to worry about it because we're still in early war. But yeah, deployment reserve, private information, trench terrain. I did notice he did like going into the terrain a lot more. I thought that got a little bit overvalued. But I think that's okay, because that's also a big map situation. Like the map we used, La Défense de Rome, had a lot of, as you can kind of see, a lot of forests, had the big river in it. If the players are like, I don't want to deal with this, like this seems like a bad idea, then just don't play in a situation like that. If you want to, you can play in like, if you want like a perfectly balanced map, you can do something like this. Like there's nothing fucking here. Like not a lot of features to really worry about in that regard. But if you want something a little bit more complex, you can do something like, say for example, like here, like it's 95% marsh and sadness. So like you kind of got to build around these situations. Like how do you build around the marshes? Like how do you build around those situations? That's kind of the main thing. But I'll give y'all a hit here. There's a lot of water in the world, so unless you're playing like, oh, we want to play in Somalia, like there's going to be a little bit of that. But mostly on when it comes to like the Western Front, you're going to have maps that look some more like this, where it's like, okay, like we know that there's like this road here, we know there's a lot of woods, and we know there's a town, and how do we choose to actually build and fight is a big thing. Scroll all the way out, yeah, but it's kind of the best way to word that is that kind of depends on the map, is how valuable these become, how valuable these become. So that's kind of all I can hope. There is a lot of praying and hoping. But yeah, I don't. Okay, so what is today actually? What's like the big thing that we plan on doing today? Well, today is the day, kind of. Today we're going to be actually working on a Boots in Mud. The actual fighting part of this game. The actual fighting part of the war game. So we'll do not newts and not boots in. There we go. I like Germania 1. I think it's a cool font. Sometimes it doesn't like me. So, yeah, today is pretty much going to be kind of formalizing. Where did it go? We're going to be kind of formalizing everything down. This is like where the actual meat of the game is going to be done. And maybe saying, Notepad, isn't it kind of weird doing this at like 11 at night? And I'm like, yeah, it is. Well, lucky for me, I have shitty beer. I'm good. So, generally speaking, what we need to do is we need to talk about objectives. We need to talk about the deployment phase. We need to talk about, let's see, so the basic things is there's going to be objective phase, in which both players determine what the objective actually is. Both players determine what their private objectives are. And then we're going to do the deployment phase, which is pretty much like how to build trenches, which this is going to be pretty much this section, digging in, settling in. That's what's going to be all about. but I'm going to formalize this section down just because of how important it is. I wanted to explain it beforehand. So this is going to be deployed versus reserved units. Deployed versus reserved units. We will do, yeah, so we can put the deployed versus reserved units, kind of explanation there. Kind of talk about it a little bit, but it's more along in the, it's more of a formal understanding of it. This is going to be a little bit more clear, which leads to, let's see, the deployment phase, deployment reserve units. That's going to end up with, actually, we can do, yeah, no, we can do this deployment phase, which is going to lead formally into the, we'll do the orders phase. Okay, so we'll do the orders phase, in which would be how to write orders. So how to write orders and understand them, and how to write. And so it's going to, so the orders phase is going to be broken down into how to write orders. Then it's going to be what orders are available. And then finally we're going to move into the, how do we want to do this? Because it wouldn't necessarily be the orders, it would be the resolution phase, like the resolution of the orders. Following, what would you call that? Following orders, other term. Okay. We'll call it the compliance phase, in which the idea is that they're complying to follow the orders. Okay, so it's going to be when to resolve orders, how to resolve orders. So it's like when to resolve your orders and how they're going to be resolved. So it's pretty much saying, if I write in the order, actually it will be, yeah, how to resolve orders, and we'll do counter orders, if that makes sense. Yeah, so we'll do the compliance phase, which is going to move into the resolution phase, which is determine attackers and defenders, determine damage, determine artillery damage, determine casualties, and we need to okay, give me 1 second. My phone is on the other side of the world. Yeah. All right. Let's get down to business to defeat the Hun. Which is more appropriate. So we need to determine casualties and then retreat order, and then retreat orders, which brings us to the, we'll call it the supply phase. Actually, we'll call it resupply phase, which is going to be call in reinforcements, call in the reserves, and yeah. So generally speaking, these are going to be our orders. This is how this section is going to come out. So first things first, we need to actually explain what the fuck this is. We'll comment on the front. When both commanders have met on the field, drafted their lines, it's time for the bloodbath. It's time for the bloodbath. Trenchfoot is all about a mixture of positioning, assaults, information, and understanding when and where to assault. The commanders will need to carefully plan their orders, all while trying to get into the head of the enemy. Trenchfoot is not a game about winning. It's about losing less than the enemy. Victory through attrition. Okay, so we're going to start off with the objective phase. Objectives and the so actually we're going to do the objective phase. At the start of the battle, both sides will actually, before lines are drawn, before the trench lines are drawn, both sides will determine the primary objective. The primary objective. This primary objective is the most important part of the battle, as it is mandatory for one side or the other to control it. Let's see, is mandatory. Let's see. This primary is the most important part of the battle, as it is a mandatory, and actually is mandatory and public information, allowing both sides to plan around its eventual capture. If a objective is behind or on top of a trench line, it is considered to be captured. And at the end of the game, if a side has possession of an objective, they have scored a quote point. Whoever has the most points is victorious. Pretty simple. On the other hand, each of the commanders will secretly choose a location on the map as their secondary objective. this is private information, and only the commander knows about for now. Let's see. On the other hand, each of the commanders will secretly choose a location on the map as their secondary objective. This is private information, and only the commander knows about it for now. The defender may choose a position behind their lines. May choose a position. Let's see. May choose any position. May choose any point on their half of the map. May choose any point on their half of the map to within the map within 3 inches of the center line. I have no idea what else to call it, the front line. Like, that's kind of a weird way of putting it. Defender may choose any point on the map within 3 inches of the center line. I could probably call it something quirky like no man's land or something, but any point within 3 inches of the center line. On their half time within 3 inches of the center line, the attacker must choose a location 3 inches. Actually, not 3. For 3 inches. Choose location 3 inches into the. Actually, the attacker must choose a location on the defender's side. On the defender's side, within 3 inches as well. Let's choose location on the defender's side within 3 inches as well. There is a non-zero chance. Let's see, non-zero chance that both of these objectives will be the same. There is also an equal chance of them being entirely different. Once both objectives have been noted down, the game moves into the deployment phase. There we go. Before the trench line is drawn, both sides. We'll determine primary objective. That is always located directly on the center line. So, for example, here with this current information, if you scroll up a little bit, the actual center line, the actual primary objective can be anywhere on this dotted line. So if we agree that, hey, this location right here is the primary objective, cool, that's the primary objective. If we determine somewhere along the way that, like, right here is the primary objective, obviously we're going to build our units differently. However, the attacker may say, hey, I want to take this location right up here in this little caldera area. I want to take that. I want that to be mine. On the other hand, the defender may say, oh, well, I want to defend this location. Like, as long as I can maintain this location, I'm safe. So the attacker knows that he wants to assault this. The defender knows he wants to defend, like, hardcore defend this. So you end up in kind of a weird situation where neither side really has, until it's, like, very obvious, like, wait, you're stacking up a lot of units on this side. Oh, what the fuck? Huh? Nani? Nani? Okay, so whoever has the most points is victorious. Yeah, there you go. And there is the thing is, I have to put in a situation, like, after a certain number of turns, both sides lose, because neither of them have to, if you can stalemate, effectively. It's to the point of, like, you've both been fighting, reinforcements are coming in, the fight is you stuck into the fight. No one's gonna win because neither of you have captured you. Either you've both captured your objective, your secondary objective, but not your primary, or you haven't really captured anything in that regard. This does lead to a situation like, say for example, like the defender is always going to win. The defender has the advantage because he has 1 point and the attacker has 0. The issue is if the attacker just takes the primary objective, if the defender turtles too hard and takes the primary objective, then wing ding ding ding, sorry defender, you're fucked. Like you've lost a lot of, like you've lost the ground a little bit, and now you're trying to assault someone that maybe you shouldn't be able to. Which that means like the defender wants to be aggressive and take the primary objective, but they also don't at the same time. It's a very precarious situation. Let's just say that. It's a very precarious situation. That is okay in my book. Which brings me to the deployment phase. Yay, deployment phase. Let's see. So, above during the actually, let's see, can I make this work? Can I make the dream work? During actually the digging ditches and settling in. And I do insert link. Actually, we're going to do that during the digging ditches and settling in chapter. Let's see, above during the chapter, the commander chapter, comma, the commanders learned how to properly dig a trench line. This is the phase in which this occurs. Both commanders will alternate. Placing down lines to successfully build their offensive and defensive lines for the battle ahead. During this time, let's see. Okay, so probably dig a trench line. So let's see. Actually, what I am going to do, we're going to do a heading 3, which is going to be deployed versus reserve troops. Deployed versus reserve troops. Commanders during this time are actually the commanders at the start of this phase are given a chance to determine how many troops, how many of their leg units are being designated as deployed. And which ones. A unit being deployed not only grants the commander the ability to place them down, but also an additional trench to build during the deployment phase. During this phase, when both of the the entire army may be deployed at this time. However, if the situation prevents deployed units, let's see, deployed units from entering the field. Deployed units from entering the field, such as being in reserve. The units, the commander is forced to put. Actually, now this is a pivotal moment. Do I be a dick, or do I see? What I can do is I can be a dick, or I can give them an out. So actually, such as being reserved. Okay, such as being still prevent, such as an attacker ending their deployment, such as ending their deployment early, forcing the defender to end their own. Let's see. However, if the situation, all deployed troops are still deployed, are still put on the field. See, all deployed troops are still put on the field. They are, let's see. So it's kind of one of those moments, like, if we put it too early and we don't have enough trench lines to actually, like, put them in, if there are not enough space, if there is not enough space in the trenches for all units, the remaining deployed troops are instead located outside of the trenches. Which I'm going to put a little footnote here, is i.e. exposed. So why is that the same size? You don't need to be the same size. I.e. exposed, located outside of the trenches, within 3 inches of the commander. Actually, are located outside the trenches within 3 inches of the trench line. Within 3 inches of a trench. So it's kind of that idea being like, if you choose to say, well, you reveal that you're deploying like 10 troops, and you can only, you put in that little 2-inch lines, and they end early, and you have like 6 troops unable to really deploy, they're just going to have to be behind your lines. They're completely exposed. And that means they're not really being useful. Let's see, unit being deployed not only grants the building phase. All deployed troops are revealed to the enemy during this time. Simply the number of them, not what they are. So it's kind of that idea of, you'll know how many troops they're actually deploying, and then how many troops they aren't. So, and the big thing here is that this is very inefficient, because you have to order all of them individually. Like, that's the big problem. Each of these are technically individual troops you have to order, which is just a mess to deal with. Howdy, Ironside. So let's see. So you don't want to deploy. The thing is, you don't want all of your troops always out of reserve, or you want to always know, like, you always have enough space for them. Okay, so deployed versus reserve troops. Let's see. So, reserve troops are, let's see, reserve troops are always hidden. Hidden from the enemy until they are revealed. Until they are deployed at the last phase. Until they are deployed. There we go. So let's see. We have this. Do we need anything else in the deployment phase? I don't believe so. Yeah, we should be okay. Which brings us to the objective phase. So actually, this would be the order phase. Once all units have been assigned into their location, has been assigned onto the field. It's time for both commanders to draft their initial orders. An order is a broad application. Actually, an order is an action the commander is having a unit perform. A unit can perform as many actions as the commander has orders. There's an actual commander having a unit or set of units perform is an action the commander is having a unit or set of units perform. We'll do that. Or set of units perform. Each commander has 3 total orders. 3 total orders per turn. Let's see. So orders can be spent on a variety of actions. And counteractions. But they will not be revealed until both sides have completed writing their orders. Let's see, and have completed writing their orders. Both sides completed writing their orders. The orders will resolve. Orders will resolve based on the distance from the commander to the recipient. Is resolved based on the distance between the commander and the recipient of the order. With both sides entering the quote initiative track. With both sides entering the initiative track at once. This means that a commander who is standing next to their This means that a commander who is standing next to their forces will immediately have their orders performed. Will immediately have their orders performed. And a commander who is hours away from their units will take longer. It's kind of a basic idea, being like whatever the distance is, it's based on that. So, commander who's hours away from the units will take longer. So this brings me to how to write orders. How to write orders. An order is written with a particular notation, either with particular notation or heavily detailed information, but will be resolved to the letter. Let's see, written particular notation or heavily detailed information, but will be resolved to the letter. So, looking here, this should be easy enough because it's the idea of pretty much unit does X. Unit does X. That's kind of the basic idea. Or yeah, the unit does X. Trench does X. Trench does X. Artillery does X. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, but how do we signify which one's which? I guess we don't. Because one of the things with like diplomacy, for example, is excuse me. Like one of the big things with the like diplomacy, for example, is that you end up with things like this. This is like a fairly dedicated, set of orders. It's hold HLD, hold all units in this location, this. Move, support here, support this. Like there's actually a fairly dedicated like set of orders that it's, possible to resolve. That's what I'm thinking is, what's the best way of approaching this? Actually, let's see. We can do writing orders, diplomacy orders, diplomacy method, actually. Orders, actually, diplomacy game orders writing. How do you write the following order? Army Paris. How do you write the following order? Army in Paris supports a Russian army in Marseille moving into Burgundy. A par S M A par Bur. Or is it army in Paris support an army in Marseille moving into Burgundy? What would be the best way of doing this? So if we use this, also here's the video schedule, by the way. How does this person signal this trench in particular without writing? Like, do we give them like names or something, like dedicated like naming the trenches? That might not be a terrible idea, actually. In the deployment phase, successfully build their offensive. But what we can do is where do we even put this? Every inch rounding down may place a single unit. Final piece commanded themselves alongside their staff. I guess we have to give it names. That's my idea. Is I think we have to give it we have to give the trenches names, or at least give a designation to the trench to symbolize what it is, like which one it is. That's my thinking, is that we're going to have to give each one of these like a designation. So what we're going to do is private information. What we can do is actually private information. Make intelligence. Gradually reveal to them information is game is rarely the best, however. What we can do is all information is technically private. Public information. What we'll do is public information. The only information that is public is, wait a second, you're heading to somebody there. The only information that is public is the names of the trenches and numbers of them. Giving each trench a number or name is important for writing orders. Often these can be as simple as trench 1, trench 2, trench 3, etc. Naming these is mandatory, and revealing the names, if only for the convenience of confirming which trench is moving and which one is not, which trench is being activated within order. There we go. Actually, what we can do is trench naming and orders. There we go. That's the only piece of public information available, is like, just tell me what the fuck it is. So that will be the result, but be resulted letter, which we will do heading 3, which is how to write an order. So each order will be notated as unit action. Each order will be noted as unit action and then other. Will be actually location. Actually, will be location, unit, action, other. For example, trench 2, unit, trench 2, infantry, attack, delay 2. This would have all of the infantry in trench 2 attack after 2 ticks after receiving receiving the order. After receiving the order, we'll attack after 2 ticks after receiving the order. Combining being specific does assist in what is being resolved and how it will be resolved. For example, trench 2, 3 infantry attack, delay 2 has only 3 infantry from trench 2 attack. It is possible to write all the units to have all of the units in a trench leave the trench and attack. There we go. The unit being sometimes, let's see, location isn't always mandatory when dealing with units outside of a trench. Not dealing with units outside of a trench. For example, in artillery piece. Yeah, so for example, artillery unit does not need to have a location specified. Actually, it would be order and then time. Trench 2 delay to, or trench 2 infantry attack delay to time 3.2. This would have attacking 2 ticks after receiving the order at quote initiative 5.2. Let's see, delay 2 time 3.2. There's only 3 infantry from trench to attack, and all you really needed so it does not need to have a location specified. And not need to have a location specified. We'll do example orders. Trench 2, all infantry attack time, we'll do time 2.2. Trench 4, all stormtroopers and infantry attack time 3.1, time 3. Let's see, so time 3, trench, what we do, artillery 1, so artillery, actually, let's see, does not need to have a location specified, simply which artillery piece is being acted upon, is being ordered. Artillery 1, defensive bombardment, time 1.2. Man, look at these new badges. Oh boy. Watching without video. Oh goodness. Oh Jesus. Let's see. Okay, beer 1 done. Let's get beer 2. Boomer juice. Not boomer juice. Ah. Delicious. Defensive bombardment, time 1 point. Defensive bombardment. So defensive time 1.2. And then we will do what would be a really exaggerated dumb order. We'll do trench 5, 2 stormtroopers. So 2 stormtroopers, 3 conscripts. Actually, 2 stormtroopers, 1 conscript, 1 infantry. Attack, delay to time 1.3. I will do delay 3, time 1.3. There we go. It's things like this. There's not many orders. That's the big idea. There aren't many orders to actually do, but there's not actually... It's mostly a game of information. So actually what we'll do is sort of paragraph A to the Z, just so everyone kind of sees, like, this is what all these kind of function. So this leads me to our second one, which is going to be how to resolve order. Actually, what orders? Available orders. So below is a list of available orders. Available orders for the commander, as well as a series of benefits. As well as a series of other notes for the orders to indulge in. So actually what we can do is transfer 2 stormtroopers, 1 conscript, 1 infantry, advance 2, delay 3, time 1.3. Actually what I should say is multiple order, actually, so doesn't have location. So what I should say is multiple orders can be strung together for a single unit, for a single set of unit, for a set of units. However, this does take up multiple orders of a commander's very limited repertoire, very limited resources, very limited time. So technically, you could have one which is trench 3, 1 stormtrooper, 2 infantry, 2 infantry, 2 conscripts, advance 2, comma, build, construct. We'll do construct 6-inch, construct 6-inch trench line, trench, comma, time 3.4, time 3.4, because advance and construct are different actions, this would be 2 orders. Commander's limited capacity. So Trench 3, 1 Stormtrooper, 2 Infantry, 2 Conscripts advance. Construct 6-inch trench. And 1 Stormtrooper, 1 Infantry, 2 Conscripts. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 2 Infantry. So 1 Stormtrooper, 2 Infantry, 2 Conscripts advance 2. Construct 6-inch trench. Time 3.4. So available orders. So, our big ones. So, let's do our basic ones, which is going to be attack. So, it's going to be the attack order is unit designate commander. Commander chooses a trench in front of the unit to attack. In front of the unit's trench line to attack. The unit rushes out of the trench and assaults the other. This initiates combat. This initiates combat. There you go. Yeah, this initiates combat. Construct. Commander has a unit expand a trench. Let's see. Expand a trench by a designated amount of inches. Let's expand a trench by a designated amount of inches equal to a designated amount of inches. Expand a trench by a designated amount of inches if they have the required supply. Upgrade. Commander has the unit upgrade their current trench. Upgrade their current trench as long as they have required supply. There we go, required supply. And we'll do is I'm going to call these leg units. Leg brigades. I.e., artillery can't do this. That's the idea. Leg brigades, and we want to do so attacking, constructing, upgrading, advance. Leg brigades. The unit commander has the unit move has the unit move a distance away from their trench, line, but not attack another trench. There we go. But not attack another trench. Did not attack another trench if the unit is caught in the firing lines of the enemy. They will take damage. There we go. Nice and easy. Let's do. What would be another good one? What's be another good one? So we'll do counterintelligence. Which is going to be a commander action. Commander order is commander orders comms shut. As communication scrambled and coded. Any intelligence action is negated. Which we can do intelligence gathering, counter intelligence. Yeah, and like intelligence gathering is an example order. You make an order for it, it's going to occur. Nice and easy. That's what I like. Nice and easy. So this brings to gather intelligence. Actually, intelligence intelligence commander. The commander requests information. Requests information from intelligence networks. Intelligence networks, they are able to discover information regarding the enemy's position, or troop counts. This would also be defensive bombardment, which would be artillery. Commander has artillery preemptively prepare for an attack. If an enemy unit attacks a trench, if an enemy unit attacks a trench within the radius of the artillery, then they will take artillery damage. Offensive bombardment, artillery. Commander has the artillery. Shell the enemy. Let's see. Shell the enemy. Enemy trench line. So the enemy trench line, dealing artillery damage. Dealing artillery damage to the defenders. If the artillery must be within, actually trench must be within the radius of the artillery. Actually, must be within the range of the artillery. Let's see, artillery batteries, offensive, defensive. What are we looking for? Attacking, constructing, upgrading, advancing, counterintelligence, constructing. What am I missing? Oh, artillery movement, which is going to be command and artillery. Actually, we'll do reposition. Reposition for artillery, which is going to be commander orders the artillery to move position. They make a full movement. Make a full movement equal to the artillery's move value, which are very short. You're not moving very far with artillery. That's the entirely idea. They're moving, which is going to be then we want to reestablish commander. Actually, no, we'll do command post. Commander. The commander moves their command post. Command post up to moves their command post to a different location. The timing will always be zero on this action. always be 0 on this action. So it's pretty much, you are allowed to move your person wherever you want to go. You move your commander at any location. The only problem of this is, 1, you're spending an action to do such, and B, you haven't spent, like, any of your other orders still are going to go through. So it's kind of like a moment where you're sitting there and being like, do I really want to move? Like, is this really a valuable thing for me? Actually, what I should do is, which is going to be null command. So we can do, actually, words of encouragement. The commander writes stirring words of encouragement to their troops. Nothing occurs for this action. There we go. In the I don't want to do anything action, you can always write words of encouragement, and the words of encouragement do literally nothing. That is strictly for a very particular, like, the only winning move is to not play. That is what you do. You have to write 3 orders. You're always going to have to write 3 orders. However, you can, if you really want to, just say no. This words of encouragement. Let's see. To indulgent. These are divided into leg brigades. Commander actions. Leg brigades, artillery, and commander actions. Commander action, yeah. There we go. Reposition. I will reorganize these later. There we go. These are basic orders, and then we will do how do we even word this? So action other time. Actually modify. What we're going to do is modifier. So modifiers would be delay. The commander delays the action for a later time, occurring at a different point in time. So pretty much it's like adding a +2 to it. Effectively, you're adding 2 to whatever order is. If you say you're going to perform this order at 3, you say delay 2. That means you're going to perform it at 5. Why do you want to do that? Hey, I want to make sure that they're not going to attack me, so we end up in kind of like a situation where they're assaulting me, but I'm not assaulting them. Cancel if. The commander issues a cancel if, which will negate the order if a situation occurs, such as an enemy attack. How do we want to do this? So it's going to be delay for later time. Cancel if. Issues a cancel if, which negates an order if the situation occurs. So that's like, hey, we know they're bombarding. Like, we understand they're bombarding at like time 3. At time 3, we understand that we're attacking at time 3.2. We know that they're bombarding already, so it's a cancel. If the enemy is bombarding, do not move. Like, don't attack. You've canceled the order. And you might be wondering, well, aren't you just going to abuse that horribly and being just like everything is going to be a cancel if? And like, yeah, make every order if you want to cancel if. And the enemy is going to find out that you keep doing this, and they're going to keep making you cancel your orders to do nothing. But they're still going to resolve their actions. That's the big part of that. They're still going to resolve the actions to do things. So it's like, oh, we'll cancel if the enemy is bombarding our position. Okay, they're bombarding your position. Cool. Such as an enemy attack. This can... what we'll do is support. Now we can do full order. So the commander demands the full order take place. So if units are lost, or the situation changes to be impossible, the unit will not perform the action. So it's pretty much like, oh, three infantry, two conscripts, one stormtrooper attack. If you do that, if you say that, and in a bombardment, one of your infantry happens to die, they'll cancel the order. They'll be like, nope, we're not doing it. We can't do it. We refuse. Let's see. What else can we add? We can add more funny orders, if that makes sense, like full funny meme orders. Like we could do things like, oh, force attack, which is the commander demands a force attack. All units lose two organization. But have +1 AV. Desperate defense. Yeah, no, I don't think that's really appropriate. I don't think that's really gonna work the way I'm thinking is. Actually, what we can do is we can do a rush order. So the commander rushes the order to the troops, rushes the order to the units. All units being ordered this way, take one organization, and damn it, take one reduce organization by 1, but time is reduced by 1. So if you say, okay, trench 2, all infantry attack, and it's like, and trench 2, all infantry attack, rush, then rush, then put down time 3. Everything's going to occur on time 2, but they're all going to take a damage. That's kind of the thing. Hello, small cupcake. How are you? It is very late. It's technically 12:30 in the morning, and I want to get this done. That is the plan for tonight. There we go. This should be everything. I don't really want to modify the like actual units' abilities too much. That's not something I want to do. Like that's kind of a let's do available what we could do is modifying orders. I want to keep things very we'll say precise in this game. And yeah, I'll fix the actually we'll do like delay X. So yeah, these are how you modify an order. Okay, so we've got all our available orders. We know how to write orders. What else do we know? What orders are available? Cool, we've got all the orders. Neato burrito. I like it when things come together. That's, I'm probably going to do the compliance phase. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of the night. That's going to be the plan. The compliance phase. When to resolve orders, how to resolve orders. Nope. Control C. We do compliance phase. Compliance. So once the orders have been drafted, both sides reveal their orders simultaneously and cannot be changed. Both sides will determine which order resolves the fastest, and then descend in action. The time is, so actually we should do we will do time and time and punishment. Ooh, God. My back hurts. There we go. Snap all my back into place. I am behind on a lot of things already. I got to do a lot of things tonight, actually. So I'm probably going to wrap this up here pretty soon. So time and punishment. So the order's timing is determined by the distance away from the commander in inches. This should preferably this should go down to the first decimal. This should go down to the first decimal. The first decimal, 1.2 inches. 1.2 inches. However, this may be inconvenient. This may be inconvenient. So rounding. We want to do rounding. Rounding is encouraged if rounding is encouraged if that is the case. Rounding is encouraged if that is the case. Rounding up. Rounding up is encouraged. So it's kind of like along the idea of being like, if you have 1.2 inches, it would technically resolve on 2. However, go by like 1.2s and things like that. Just so it's like you're a little bit closer. You're encouraged just to be a little bit closer than you really want to be. Which is kind of like a big thing for like the commander and stuff. Because if the commander's ever threatened, you lose. You automatically lose. Sorry, you're dead. You've been literally killed. Order timing is determined by the distance. The order will resolve itself. Actually, the order will automatically trigger. Will automatically trigger it when that occurs. The order will automatically trigger when it occurs, allowing the unit to perform the action to the best of their ability. Allowing the unit to perform an action to the best of their ability. If a unit were to how do I want to word this? Oh God. Pretty much the idea is that whatever the timing is when the kind of like the initiative order is, and if there's ever a situation where it's actually impossible to complete an order, they're just not going to do anything. Like, if there is no trench there to take, they're not going to do it. Trigger when it occurs, allowing the unit to perform an action to the best of their ability. This does allow, pretty much, this is mostly used for things like artillery. Artillery, this is like the most important thing for them. And it also kind of allows everybody to kind of reason out like who's where. This is kind of it's an information gathering time. It allows you, the player, to understand, hey, this guy ordered 3 infantry from this location to do this. And you're like, wait a fucking second. He's got 3 infantry there? Oh, shit. And it also allows things like cancel if, modifiers and rush orders to kind of take priority. This is especially useful if you want to do things like advancing, where advancing into, like, if you choose to advance a bunch of units and they're attacking, they're going to engage with each other. They're going to start fighting. And you're going to be maybe not in the best position. However, this is the big however, if you say, for example, defensive bombardment, yeah, and if you defensive bombardment, then, well, they're attacking. The defensive bombardments occurred before they've attacked. It's like, okay, we've seen this. This is good. So an attack may occur, then the defensive bombardment may occur. So it'd be like, wait a second, I've been bamboozled. My cancel if order doesn't occur because, hey, I'm attacking, and my cancel if was if there is artillery, defensive artillery. Why don't you just put a defensive artillery at the very end? Because they might say, you might get counter batteried, kind of thing. And it's like, well, fuck you. So let's see. Okay, so perform the action to the best of their ability. Units who act first. Delaying a unit beyond, delaying a unit beyond 10. Okay, delaying a unit beyond 10 has the unit, actually no. When it occurs, allowing the unit to perform an action to the best of their ability. When 2 unit, it is possible for 2 units to resolve their actions. At the same time. So it's possible for 2 units to resolve their actions at the same time. Potentially enabling disaster. Cancel if or modifying orders. Modifying orders do not occur if the result is happening simultaneously. So pretty much if we're both attacking at the same time and you have a cancel if that says you don't attack, do not attack if they're attacking, it's not going to trigger. So it's kind of like a fuck. Like, god dang it. I've been flummoxed. I've been bamboozled. I'm not 100% that this is going to work positively because it's really only affecting very particular things. Notably artillery. That's kind of the big one, is artillery this is really affecting. Preferably inconvenient, resolve. And the one thing I'm afraid about is that everyone's going to be like, delay 99 or something. Where it's like, I'm always going to act last, therefore all my cancel if orders will always go through. I will always be on the defense. My actions will always resolve last. Which is the thing like I'm a little bit worried about, but that's going to have to be a playtesting thing where we just look at each other. Like I just look at my friend and he looks at me as we debate on what the fuck is going on. So we know how would resolve orders, so how to resolve orders. So we're going to do resolving actions. So this is going to be the important part, resolving actions. So when each order will be resolved when it occurs, excluding battles. Below is the result of how to resolve every order. Why don't you just put it with the orders? I need, like, that was like how to write them, so this is resolving them. Below is how to resolve every order. If an order is impossible to resolve, for example, units being dead. For example, units being dead, trench line, trenches not properly built, or enemy advancing, then the order does not occur. Just straight up, it doesn't occur. You've lost the order. Then the order. So if we go up here, we paste all of these in here. So attack. Commander chooses. So attacking. Attack. The unit will engage in combat, which is resolved during the next phase. During the next phase. If a unit is if the unit is attacking first, construct. So construct. The unit will the commander will spend supplies to build a new trench following the existing trench rule entrenching rules. Following the entrenching rules. Following the existing trenching rules. Except relating to distances from allied trenches. Pretty much, like, you can't build it within like 3 inches of an enemy trench, because that's you building into their trench. That's a no-no. So we want to do, our basic idea is it's going to cost, we will say maybe like 20 supplies. Actually, no, if we want to do 10 supply, so it's going to be 10 supplies for 1 inch. So yeah, 10 supplies for 1 inch. For 1 inch. So you're going to have to spend 20 supplies for 2-inch trench. 10 supplies for 1 inch of trench. Trench, so you need to have to spend 20. So most of the time, to build like a decent sized trench, you're going to do for that up to a maximum inches up to a maximum of units digging the trench. We'll do a footnote. 3 units digging, 3 units with the construction order. Construction order can build an additional 3, can build a 3-inch trench or extend a trench 3 inches. There we go. That's kind of the basic idea. It's whatever, how many units are available actually doing it, that's how far you can go. The goal here is to make sure you don't have like one thing of conscripts building a 10-inch trench in the middle of nowhere. That's a no-no. Don't do that. Let's do upgrade. So commander, you upgrade the current upgrade dash the commander spend supplies. Send supplies to upgrade to upgrade a trench with better accommodations. As well as defensive structures. So, we'll do a level 2 upgrade. So we'll do a level 2, which is +1 DV, which is going to be, actually then we'll do level 3, and then finally level 4, which is +2 DV, and then finally plus 3 DV. And this is going to be 5 supplies an inch per inch. Actually, we'll do 10 supplies per inch, which will be 15 supplies per inch. And finally, this will be 20 supplies per inch. Like, the thing is, like, a level 4 trench, even conscripts can rip, like, guards apart with that. And the only ones you're really upgrading are things like level 4, like even let's just say, for example, let's say a 3-inch trench. So a 3-inch trench, leveling that up to level 2 is 10 inches, is 10 supplies. So that's 30 supplies to get to level 2. But everyone gets +1 DV. That's insane already. Then you need to spend 45 supplies to get to level 3. Pretty much you've made them way better than most people, which leads to level 4, which is 20 supplies. Yeah, so this would be 60 supplies to get to level 4. It's only 3 inches of trench. So the bigger the trench, the more expensive it's going to be, but that's kind of the trade-off. It's, well, we can make this really good, or we can make this kind of bad. It's a push and pull. That's one of the big ideas. Push and pull. Mostly because that gives people who just want to do smaller trenches a little bit of an advantage. Advance. So the units advance to a location specified by the commander. From here, they stand there until they gain new orders. They stand there until they gain new orders. If they are attacked, they are considered exposed. And pretty much they'll use their attack instead of defense. So kind of like, advance is useful if you want to pair it with, you have to pair it with something else. Especially if you have things like advance attack, which is advance to this location, then attack. Because you can advance to a place to the side of the enemy and then attack. If you want to do some flanking maneuvers, you can do that. Engage in which is the result of the next phase. Unit must be within, we'll do 5 inches. Actually, we'll do unit must be within 6 inches of an enemy trench to, actually must be within 3 inches. Actually, we'll do must be within 4 inches of an enemy trench. Enemy trench to assault directly. They must attack trenches directly in front of them first. So it's kind of, yeah, attacking is gonna have, I'm gonna need to do like an entire thing on attacking. Counterintelligence. So the commander negates the use of the intelligence action. Saving pieces of information. Intelligence. So the commander has their opponent reveal a piece of information requested of them. These include the following. A current army list, which is important. Like, yeah, current army list is just like what's actually currently deployed troops, currently deployed units, not where they are, simply what they are. Occupants of a trench. If you type of, we'll do type of unit in the field. We're going to do footnote. If using dice information, what is the die value represent? Hey, all my ones are conscripts, kind of thing. Let's see, type of unit in the field. The occupants of a trench, type of unit in the field. Yeah, okay. Let's see. These include the following. So occupants of a trench, type of unit in the field. Let's see. Actually, current supply. We'll do current supplies. Current reserves. There we go. So it's kind of one of those situations where you can constantly ask some questions. If you do an intelligence action, you can say, "Hey, what units are deployed? Tell me, like right now, what units are deployed?" Well, I have 3 machine gunners. Currently deployed units in the field. So it's like I have 3 machine gunners, 6 conscripts, 3 infantry. You don't know where they are. Occupants of a trench is what is inside that trench. Well, there are 3 guards inside that. No, there's a guard and 6 conscripts in that trench. Cool. Or it's like, what type of unit is in the field? So it's kind of like, what units do you have? Like, which unit? Where are these units? Actually, type of unit in the field. A type of unit in the field and location. So, where are your conscripts? I have 3 conscripts here, 4 conscripts over there. Yeah, it's like I have 7 conscripts in the field and they are in this trench and this trench. And it's like, okay, you have 8 units spread between them and you say you have 4 conscripts. So I know between them there's a bunch of useless attackers in there. So it's like, okay, so we need to, so it's me knowing that information now. How much supplies do you have? I have 0 supply. I can't reinforce anymore. Or I have an absurd amount of supply, and being like, oh, you have a lot of supply. And the big thing about this is I want this to be deductions on your part that is more than the information given. It's how many troops do you have deployed in the field? Who's actually deployed? I have 3 machine gunners, 6 infantry, and 4 conscripts in the field. You can kind of suss that out, being like, that's a lot of troops already in the field. Those aren't crappy units. Like, there's some crappy units in there, but there's like a good mixture of units. And you're thinking about it, being like, okay, if he's spread out this way, I understand that probably his machine guns are going to be in a place where he's stacked up. He doesn't want to lose that location. Or he's put those in a position where he thinks that I want to attack constantly. Like, okay, I can understand that. Or what is in this trench? Well, there's 2 machine gunners and 2 infantry. That's going to tell you a lot more information, because it's saying if he can't have that many machine gunners, and because he doesn't have that many machine gunners, what's going on here? What are you planning? Is kind of the thing. Or it's like, what type of units do you have in the field and where are they located? I have 4 stormtroopers on the field and they're in 2 trenches. And there's 1 troop in one, There's one troop in one, and there's 3 in the other. You're like, oh, I know where your stormtroopers are now. How much supplies do you have? Hey, if you have a lot of supplies and you have a lot of troops on the field, that's a deduction saying, hey, you A, are probably going for either like a mass reinforcement strategy, or B, your units suck. They are shitties. Lots of shitty little units rather than anything like really hardcore. Or maybe that's all you have, which is kind of the reserve question. Like, how many people do you actually have in reserves? Being like, I have 8 units in reserve, and it's like, yo, you're bullshitting me. I see. It's like, oh no, I've been flummoxed. Hello, Manlin. We're doing pretty all right, Manlin. I randomly saw the check on the Twitch community I used to hang out with, and someone got cucked by his wife. Another thinks he was abducted by aliens. Many such cases. Welcome to the wonderful world of Twitch. Twitch is truly a flawless place with absolutely 0 problems in it. Hmm. Oh, a Wicca vegan. Wicca's hilarious. I'll always say that. Like I love the Wicca girls. They're fucking nuts. Let's see, defensive bombardment. The artillery unit strikes the location. Strikes all units attacking. Attacking within its radius. Defending the trenches they are assaulting. If a unit is outside of the trench, let's see. If a unit is outside of the trench and defensive bombardment occurs, they will also take the artillery damage. It is entirely possible you will defensively bombard your own units. That is a thing. As long as it's pretty much like if they're attacking you, defensive bombardment's going to trigger. So offensive bombardment, artillery shell the enemy trench line. Artillery will deal damage equal to the artillery damage to all units in the trench. To all units in the trench. In the enemy trench. They will not deal damage to attacking units. Which is kind of the benefit you could say, which is if you're doing an offensive bombardment, what that means is that you are offensively bombarding, you're attacking their trench. But if they attack you with everything, you're going to do no damage. Because you are hitting a location where nobody is. They're like, oh, nani? Nanai? Literally all I really need to do with reposition is move value, cannot move yeah. Command post. The commander moves from command post. Time will always be 0. So what we can do is this. Dash. Move their command post to a different location. The commander All orders given this turn are from the original location. So that doesn't mean like you can't command post over closer to a unit and then the order's faster. No, you've sent out the order, you've moved over there. That's how that works. Words of encouragement. Words of encouragement. Dash nothing. Nothing occurs. Nothing occurs. But you made someone feel better. Feel better. Good job, Commander. Little bit of a funny there. That's what that is. It's a little bit of a funny. Because having a funny every now and again is important. Because when you realize this game is literally a brutal grind to kill everybody, yeah, it's a little grim. A little grim at points. And generally speaking, that's kind of the point. See, the best part is that when I do decide to convert this over to a PDF, because that's kind of the goal, is I want to PDF more things more often. And that's going to be fun. So words of encouragement, nothing occurs. Cool. So we've got everything here. We've got all the resolving actions. What we need to do is the resolution phase and resupply phase. And we will do this probably on Wednesday, or I'll just say fuck it and just do it by myself one day. And probably like do it myself or something. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. You don't get Wicca. The big thing with Wicca, you have to understand, is that Wicca is... There's two varieties of it. This is completely different fucking tangent. But there's effectively, you can say, two different varieties of Wicca. The first variety of Wicca is kind of this weird non-religion, this old non-religion pagan holiday thing. It was an old pagan thing, which is, it's a non-entity, kind of. It's hard to explain. But Wicca was a thing way back in the day, but it was kind of the same way that, like, how do I want to word this? It wasn't called Wicca. Let's just say that. It wasn't called Wicca. It was a bunch of weird people doing weird mystical bullshit. Mystically, for bullshit reasons. It's the same thing of, this is the witch in the woods, but she's just an herbalist, but she would be called a Wicca nowadays. She wasn't necessarily Christian, she wasn't not anything, it was very odd. Then you have modern Wicca. Modern Wicca can best be roughly described as a religion, or a religious concept, which is, how do I want to word this? More of a basic concept of, it is more like a basic concept of religious concepts. Like, it's weird to explain, but it's religion TM. You have all the basic concepts of what a religion is, and you use the basic ideas of what a religion is, but you don't have any of the formalities, really. I knew a Wicca girl. I knew a Wicca priest. She was incredibly nice, really nice person. But I think one of the ideas, the problem is, it's a lot of, I'm a religious person, but I'm not religious. They were the people who got together and do LSD and have, or not necessarily even that. Like, this is ancient shit. These were just weird people who taught weird things. This was the weird woman in the woods who did herb stuff, and everyone called her a witch. That's what Wiccan was back in the day. It was like, well, we know if we do this, this, and this, it has some weird mystical qualities to it. Why? Because I read it in a book, and who taught me that book? My grandma, and shit like that. Like modern Wicca, people usually use it as kind of like a substitute for more religious things. They're usually religious people looking for spirituality, but don't want to be a part of an organized religion. Primarily woman-based shtick, noted and denoted. I actually knew a male Wiccan. Guess you could call it that. He wasn't, but it's the kind of people who say like, "Oh, I'm a pagan." That's kind of what you can attribute Wiccanism to. No, he was an interesting dude, but it's you know the people who say, "Oh, I'm a pagan." Saying, "Oh, I'm a pagan" means literally nothing. Anyone who claims to be, "Oh, I'm a pagan," laugh at them. Just laugh at them ruthlessly. Because usually what that means is they don't know and they want to be different. Because way back in the ye olden days, pagans were people who weren't Christian. You weren't Christian. You didn't believe in the book. You did not believe in Allah. You did not believe in all these things. That was kind of the basic concept. You were not a member of the people. And it's funny because people, one thing you always have to remember is, by technicality in Muslim theology, Christianity are just the people of the book. They are technically on the same caliber as a Muslim. They're different interpretation, and they aren't quite right, but it's the same way. It's very complicated. But anyone who wasn't part of that was a pagan. That's kind of the idea. So people who claim to be pagan do not, because then people who were hardcore Norse worshippers who had fucking temples to Odin and shit in their did not get along. Were not friendly with the people who worshipped other gods. They did not like the Slavs. To them, the Slavs were subhuman, worshipping nothingness. Their gods were wrong, and you were going to swoop in and kill them because their gods were fundamentally incorrect. The problem is now, because it's a counterculture thing, you could say. Yeah, man, I'm pagan. That means nothing. Oh, I'm a strong pagan belief. No, you're not. You just don't want to be. You want to have that spiritualism, but you don't want to have the rigidity of Christian faith, or you don't want to be like Buddhist or something. But you also end up with things like like Buddhism is incredibly fascinating. I find it very interesting. I believe Thor was hating me. Yeah. They never. It's one of those things like, yeah, I'm a big fan of Thor and Odin, being like, no, you fucking you learned Thor was assisting you when you read a Marvel comic kind of thing. Like, I'm just like, shut up, please. Like, I'm not a religious person. I'm not. I would be more classified as being an atheist these days. However, I understand. Fuck young Buddhist people like, yeah, so the Asian spirituality is closer to me, like it's a non-religion. Fuck you. Yeah. Buddhism is actually incredibly fascinating. And I understand a lot of the concepts of Buddhism are appealing. But the problem is there's surface level Buddhism, and then there's deeper Buddhism. Deeper Buddhism gets some weird shit in there, and there's some very religious stuff in there. And there is some very complicated beliefs, and then you got to kind of learn about like what Hinduism, all about Hinduism. You got to learn about there's a lot of details when it comes to Buddhism and stuff. And my favorite line fun fact, if you ever want a complete crash course on fucking Buddhism, read Gachimuchi Nirvana Seekers. It's a slight meme, but if you actually, honest to God, want a crash fucking course on what Buddhism is all about, I don't know why I went to Twitter. That's somewhat what it is all about. Because I went a little bit hardcore on it. Like, Buddhism is very interesting. There's a lot to Buddhism that I think people overlook simply because it's inconvenient in some aspects. Johnny, you don't understand. It's me, your pal Thor. Yeah, no, pagan. Don't trust pagans. Most of them are nutters. Like, again, I respect Buddhists. I respect Hindus. I respect all. Like, I'm a big guy on. I respect your religious beliefs. I've always have. I don't, again, I've met those like, well, I'm just spiritual and I like Buddhism. I'm like, ma'am, you are. Did you know that Buddha technically believes, like, in strict Buddhism, like, women can't achieve enlightenment? That's one of the reasons Gachimuchi Nirvana Seekers was written, because of that single line. Was because technically in Buddhism, women can never achieve true enlightenment because they can't free themselves fully from temptation. As a woman Buddhist, you're effectively trying to reject. You pretty much want to re-enter the cycle of reincarnation to become a dude to allow you to achieve nirvana. That is quite literally the basic concepts. Yeah, Hindus are like, it's fascinating. We have pagans in Russia that they're very retarded. These fake pantheon of random gods from Baltic, the Finno group. Yeah, that's what a lot. Honestly, that's what a lot of people who claim to be Buddhist do. Not Buddhist. That's what a lot of people who claim to be pagan do. They just kind of take whatever they think is cool without understanding any fundamental part. It's like one of those things. Like, if you're saying like, I'm full Norse. I grew up in fucking Iceland. I am full Norse. My family, like, it's like we have this weird, Cathalo Norse thing in there. All right, we can make it work. All right, like, I understand it. Hell, according to, I believe it was, according to the Divine Commedia, I believe Odin and Thor are in hell. But the issue was that they're in hell not because they are bad, they're bad, but they were there to be, what was it? Am I going insane? Thor in Dante's, am I thinking of what am I thinking of? No, I'm thinking of someone else. Pretty much in the Dante's Inferno, they do mention like the old pagan gods and being like they were temptations for the true faith, and because they couldn't interpret God back in the day, they had to believe in other ones, so you had to be a virtuous pagan. But because you didn't know God, you were still in hell technically. That was it. It was a false interpretation of God. Therefore, you're on the right track, however, you're still wrong. But Dante's Inferno is also hilarious because it's literally Dante's fan fiction where he gets to meet all his cool people that he really likes. Welcome to the Divine Comedy. I had to read it in high school. I still have my copy, actually. I should read that one day on stream. Notepad reads the Divine Comedy. Everyone's reading all the fun stuff. See, the thing is, I wouldn't read the Inferno. No, you guys get the fucking like Purgatorio, and you can see Dante get ripped the musical. Yeah, Purgatorio is hilarious. Purgatorio is fun. Paradiso is fucked. Fuck Paradiso. That shit is confusing. Dante goes to heaven and he just learns a bunch of weird shit. It's like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's when you see a lot of people being like paganism, it's so ill-defined that people usually assign something that they want to it. That's why you see a lot of like white supremacists being like, yeah, Odin, yeah, Thor. I'm like, no, they do not care in your stupid chinless ass. Like I'm cool. Look, everybody, 1488. I'm super cool. I'm cool. Look, everybody. No, stop it. Stop being cringe. Go to church. I don't know. Find peace. That's my philosophy. Maybe the Mormons are right. Mormonism is its own beautiful disaster area. I could go a while on Mormonism, but if you ever want fun reading, just look up Mormonism and like some of the deeper things with Mormonism. You will learn so much. Though here's the thing, I do actually have to have like a little section in the I am still debating on the American stream. I got about a month to decide if I want to do it or not. About Mormonism, which is American Christianity, and like this is what this like. If you want an understanding of the American situation, you got to know about Mormon. So I think I'm going to call it there for today. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I got to do a bunch of things. So, thank you all for watching. I didn't get that much done, relatively speaking, but thank you. Goodbye. Have a wonderful rest of your night. I will see you probably on Wednesday, which, depending on how things go, we may be able to go gamer mode on Wednesday, or we might have to delay till Friday to actually finish up Trenchfoot. But I want to get it done by this week. So. Thank you, goodbye, and have a nice rest of the night.